The next 9 minutes could change the face of the world, and you could be part of the solution. Are you ready? The world is getting smaller, we sometimes say. We live and work in a global economy. With that in mind, please think about how that impacts our future here in America. Every 3 seconds, a child dies of hunger or malnutrition in sub-Saharan Africa. Stephen Lewis, UN Special Envoy for HIV/AIDS in Africa, says, "It's hard to go anywhere on the continent without people crying out for food. In fact, if you ask almost anyone what they need most, including people suffering from full-blown AIDS, they will not say drugs. They will say food. It's a universal reply." Every 14 seconds, a child is orphaned by AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell states that AIDS is the most significant threat in the world, greater than even weapons of mass destruction. And then there's poverty. 314 million people in Africa live on less than $1 per day. Musician and humanitarian Bono speaks to the stark reality.
These people are your priority, that your humanity is at stake, their humanity is at stake, and that history, like God, is watching this moment. This is our moment, and we're going to stop the hemorrhaging of human life that is the continent of Africa. We're going to tell a whole different story of noble, royal, entrepreneurial people who are fighting back, themselves fighting back, and who will win in the war against extreme poverty.
Most Africans only have a 4th grade education. Without the ability or funds to go to school, they wander the streets and look for trouble. Former South African President Nelson Mandela explains it best when he says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Hunger, orphans, poverty, and lack of education are critical elements that are changing the face of the earth today. The situation in Africa is getting worse, with 11 million AIDS orphans being left to fend for themselves. Let's look at just one country and see what's happening in the tiny kingdom of Swaziland, found in the northeast corner of southern Africa. Swaziland is the last absolute monarchy in Africa, with King Mswati III sitting on the throne. The country has one tribe, one language, and has never been at war. It should be one of the garden spots of Africa, but the country is dying, right in front of our eyes. In 2005, Swaziland had a population of 1.1 million people. Due to HIV/AIDS, it has dropped the population to 950,000 people today. The HIV infection rate is the highest in the world at 42.6%, meaning that almost 1 in 2 people is infected by this deadly and incurable disease. An AIDS epidemic of tsunami proportion is leaving a wake of children behind. Today, there are 5,000 orphan-headed households in Swaziland alone. 8,000 children become orphaned each and every month, and it was predicted in the National Swazi newspaper that by the year 2020, there will be no more adults in Swaziland. Imagine an entire country with only children. Heart for Africa is a U.S. 501c3 organization that brings hope to the African people in areas of hunger, orphans, poverty, and education. We come alongside orphanages in Swaziland and Kenya who are taking on the challenge of raising up children who have been abandoned, ignored, and left to live on their own. Heart for Africa provides water, plants, rotational gardens, builds dorms, and creates safe environments for children. Heart for Africa provides beds, medical needs, and the most important thing, education. The orphanages we support are raising the future leaders of Swaziland and Kenya. These children are the hope for the future of these nations. These children will be the adults that our children will sit across the table from as world leaders, either as good friends or committed enemies. Meet a typical Swazi family caught in the poverty cycle. Sarah is the mother of 11 children. She is 34 years old and had her first child at the age of 14. Her children range from the age 20 down to 4-year-old twins. Her 6-month-old child just died, and she has lost one other child. Sarah's 17-year-old daughter, Princess, has a 1-year-old child. The monthly income for this family of 11 people is less than $100. It is quite possible that both Sarah and Princess are HIV positive, but neither will get tested because they are afraid of the answer. Sarah is frail, cannot feed her children, has no funds to have them in school regularly, and is watching them die in front of her, one by one. Sarah's future is fairly certain. Like the other 6,400 people who die every day of AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa, Sarah will likely succumb to the disease in the near future. What will happen to her and her children? Who will care for them? How long will they live? Unless someone intervenes, the cycle will begin again. Sarah's poverty has led to her lack of education. Without education, there is no way of her knowing how AIDS is contracted. With no education and being ill with the disease, she is unable to get a job. With no job, there is no food, and the children go hungry. Once Sarah dies, her children are left as orphans. With no parents, the children can't go to school and be educated. And they, too, enter the endless, hopeless cycle of poverty. Is it too late? Is there hope for a dying generation? Of course there is. Heart for Africa knows that they can't save all the children, but they believe something has to be done on a larger scale, and it needs to be done now before it's too late. We can't sit by idly while the future of a nation dies in front of us. This is where you come in. Let me tell you about Project Canaan, a place of hope. Project Canaan is 2,500 acres of privately held land in Swaziland that is available for us to purchase at a favorable price. The land has ample year-round running water that will provide for drinking needs, large farming initiatives, and even the development of fish farms. The goal is to provide for the children and our existing home partners, as well as other children who are caught up in the AIDS tsunami. Project Canaan will focus on sustainable solutions. The Canaan Land Project will be a profit-generating agribusiness that will include large-scale farming, fisheries, poultry houses, and a dairy farm. In 2006, the country of Swaziland consumed 15 million gallons of milk, but only produced 2 million gallons, leaving a shortfall of 13 million gallons to be imported from other countries. Other such business opportunities are being identified and developed. Alternative energy sources will be generated using wind power and methane gas producer to fuel the farm and generate income from the sale of electricity. Children's homes will be developed and built to provide for the ever-growing number of orphans being left in the wake of the AIDS pandemic. We will provide a safe place for them to live and grow, as well as be educated to help break the cycle of ignorance in their generation. HIV/AIDS is the primary cause of the growing orphan population. It will be critical that the land be home to a state-of-the-art HIV/AIDS clinic where a holistic approach to medical care will be taken. Not only will the agribusiness development address food shortage, but it will also generate employment, stimulate the local economy, allow for export, and provide a sustainable business model to support other Heart for Africa homes and projects. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," and we believe this is true. Training schools will provide advanced education for skilled labor with the goal of moving the impoverished into a working class. A medical center will be also part of the development to teach home-based care and basic medical training for community and rural usage. Heart for Africa has been designed by business people to come alongside Africans and bring expertise, resources, and heart together to find a holistic solution to the complex set of issues that, if not addressed, will have a greater impact on our global economy and the global community for which we are part of. So we ask you then, is it okay with you? Do you have a Kathy or a Mary or a Bill or a Jeff in your home? Could you imagine them being in a location somewhere remote in the world with no parents, you're not being there, where they were selling themselves for sex so that they could feed their younger brother or sister? That's what's happening today. Heart for Africa has been given a $1 million grant to buy this land, but we need more funds to develop it. We need you. America has been blessed with many, many physical blessings, and I've often felt that that's because, and particularly in my case, of sacrifices of others who've come before me to make it possible to be here today. And I think that may be true for many of you. Now it's our time. Our great challenge in the world is this AIDS pandemic. And our great challenge in this country is what we're going to do with our wealth. And I ask you to join me and the rest of the people at Met Assets to serve those who are in desperate need of life, education, resource, and most importantly, hope. Please join us. Go to www.heartforafrica.org to learn more. Thanks so much.